Hey, in this video I want to talk to you about Google's explanations, which are actually kind of cool. I'm, pretty impressed with some of what they're putting forward. If you haven't seen them yet, whenever you're in your data grid, you'll notice that you end up with hyperlinks. These kind of happen at random. Generally when there's a major change, and that doesn't necessarily need to be an improvement. Sometimes it's something that has gone wrong. So for instance, you'll notice here that the cost is $957, and when I hover over this hyperlink, it says change in cost. This campaign's cost changed by $279, 41% compared to the prior 7 days. So my cost just went up. But Google is providing me with an explanation. Now, this is cool because this is normally you'd have to A, identify this yourself, and then B, dig into it yourself. So here's Google giving you kind of raising the flag, something in the way of a predictive indication as to what's going on. And so, now it's saying explanations help you discover why your account performance changed. And again, performance change doesn't necessarily mean improvement. So that's, I think, an important distinction to make. You'll also notice it's really important for you to pay attention to the date range, because sometimes you'll have, major shifts inside of smaller date ranges, but as you zoom out, those shifts don't have as substantial an impact. That's a really important thing to note for new advertisers, is if you're making all of these adjustments off of smaller date ranges, if you were to zoom out, you don't realize it, but you're actually hurting yourself. So here we have Google's explanation as to why the cost increased, and really it's auction insight information. It's like, hey, your competitors are bidding more, they're getting more aggressive, your CPC went up by 34%, and it's splitting things up on a campaign basis, an ad group basis, keyword basis, and so over here it's interesting because you can see the 881% change in the cost for this particular search term, and then it gives you a little bit more in the way of specific areas, auction activity and campaign settings. But you'll notice all of the other areas that it does test or look for, and there's actually more than this. Sometimes I notice that these lists are more expansive, or at least I felt that way. And so it gives you, it's not always just auction insights. Sometimes it shows you other stuff. And I've got another one here that I can hover over. And these happen at random, incidentally, if I haven't already said that. Like, you can't force the explanation. Google just kind of offers it up when it feels it's applicable, which is kind of interesting. So this campaign's conversions changed. It went up 187% compared to the last 7 days. So we're like, well, that's great. And now what it wants to do is tell us why. So I'm looking at a DSA campaign here. And your optimization goal changed when your bid strategy changed. So this is cool. We changed from maximize clicks to target CPA, and that improved the number of conversions and the percentage of conversions that we were getting. So this is just a nice thumbs up to the change that we made inside of this campaign, which is pretty cool. And then you can see the budget change during the exact same period, targeting change during the same period, and then the difference in conversions based off of those locations. What else? 2 changes were made to your account during this period. So we made like a bid and a budget adjustment. Nothing like insane. Really, I think this is just the bid strategy change. It is what made the biggest impact. But that's cool for us to know because, and then you can see again, here's categorically all the things that Google reviewed in order to determine what it is that made the impact of the difference. So don't ignore those. I think it's interesting, A, to see what is impacting, like what Google has identified as a major change. And then B, it's also interesting to identify what Google thinks is impacting your changes. Because we're dealing with so much, like smart bidding, machine learning, algorithmic adjustments, etc. Google, I think, through explanations is going to start to give us a sense as to what the lag and lead indicators are. And so they might tip their hat just a little bit. Or no, what's the word? Tip their cards? Whatever it is. They might let us see behind the Iron Curtain as far as what's actually connected. And you have to be careful, though, because there's also going to be something of a narrative push. Google's going to try to convince us, as they have done since the inception of Google Ads, of certain connectivity that we just either know doesn't exist or we don't necessarily agree with the way that it exists. So you can't take it wholesale, just like you can't take anything from Google Ads wholesale. But it is a really cool adjustment and addition. Shout out to Colin on my team who campaigned for this video. Really appreciate you always helping us with the learning. And I hope this is helpful to you. We shoot a video every day, so like, comment, subscribe, do all the fun stuff, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.